but there's some other things I could do. I could go through Una and give it to Yanni. That sounds like a really good idea, actually. Might go ahead and do that, since I've already got Ina's backlog of Emerald. That is assuming that I managed to get to all the relevant chambers in time, which is not at all guaranteed. I don't think I'll be doing it this update. I want to end it on a sister, so this could get very confusing and close. This is wonderful. With the maximum violet buff, I put about 55 droplets into these trees, and I'm getting over 100 out. With the way the colour spurts up and creates its own sort of vessel of light, I feel like I'm taking all my nutrients from a wellspring that I've dug myself, rather than sapping it from the bodies of the natives. From a technical gameplay perspective, these trees are always going to be better than the ones I've seen before, but if you think about it from the story point of view, everything is getting more potent as I go along. Either the void is more lively the further in I get. It could be inherent in its nature, it could be seeing my potential and reacting accordingly to give me what I need now that it knows I could actually reawaken it. Or perhaps it's me who is becoming more potent and more powerful, who can coax the colour out of the void the more hearts I gain. As Sister Death said, I bring life like a vernal sun, so it makes sense that I should have more effect the stronger I become. While I'm talking about how the void evolves over time, Ava recently mentioned how silver reduces the damage dealt to the void. I didn't really understand what the use of that was up until this playthrough. It's supposed to prevent wastefulness, which I thought would give me a disadvantage. I thought it would cause the void to give less colour out each cycle, as if the damage I was dealing was tearing holes in its fabric. But that's apparently not the case. All it does is reduce the number of predators that spring up because of the use of colour. There are some other consequences, but that's the main side effect. So excessive use of silver is the closest you can get to activating easy mode, so I'm going to be avoiding doing that. Oh, just in case you're wondering, there is an easy mode of sorts if you go to the Icepick forums. I'm not entirely sure how it works, but worth a try if you really are struggling. And now moving on to stage 2 of this little operation. I've filled myself up with crimson, and I'm going to do the same with gold, since I won't need the trust, because I won't be talking to a sister until after I've reaped what I'm just about to sow. Clearly this is just in my heart at the moment, so I need to go outside and let it pass through me before I can plant it. And then I'm pretty much going to blow the entire lot. I'm sure I'll get another source before I need it next, and if I use it on all the trees here, it'll be enough for the sisters that I need to do. Well, I'll get their first hearts open at least. I'm pretty much refusing to think any further beyond that. Enough will change before then to give me a route through. Yeah, a bit of foolhardiness. Never hurt anyone.
You're almost depleted. You're dying.
I have to admit I'm a bit concerned about the colour in these chambers that has just appeared. I'm in absolutely no position to protect it. With the state I'm in, I shouldn't be just letting large amounts like that go, but I don't want to go out my way too much for your sake. So hopefully they'll stay away, or there'll be a well-paced race in place for me to win and save face. Ooh, that looks fancy.
You're one step closer to death. You broke a taboo.
Golden bathtub. Right. Now seems like a good enough time to talk about a one-off comment that Emma made last update that you will have forgotten about if you even noticed it at the time. She said that the sisters have been waiting ages for someone who could give colour, but we have to give it of our own free will.
Wasting your soul.
This is because the sisters do not have a right to ask for colour. I was wondering a fair while ago whether the sisters have a mutual pact or a flat-out inability to ask for colour.
You're one step closer to death.
This question still hasn't been answered, but at least we know now that the sisters cannot ask, assuming that Ema isn't lying to make herself appear more vulnerable. So they can't come right out and say it. They can suggest other sisters that you could give the colour to. They can trade our favour for knowledge or power or female attributes, which ultimately gives them all ulterior motives that work to our advantage, since they want us to succeed just as much as they want to be chosen.
You're losing yourself.
There we go. I still don't mind what goes through me, but I feel I should use Violet for some other purposes, so I'm going to swap it out with something else. But my task is just to survive until next cycle.
I can see you. I saw you through the window. You're so strange.
That was Olay again. She's talked about looking through windows before. Last time a monster looked at her. This time, is she talking directly to me? Or can she see something else now? I'm not all that strange. Oh, and I haven't been near any windows.
Azure.
Oh, Sister Death isn't saying anything anymore. That's a very good sign. It was beginning to creep me out slightly. I didn't know what I was in for, but colour is streaming back in. Unfortunately, it is all Azure. And it's piling into that Fireflies reservation in the far south, so I've really got to get over there as soon as I can. I just can't afford to lose 2 cycles worth, and watching it get slowly drained away before my eyes will move me to tears. Yeah, there are a couple of things that'll do that in this game. On the second time through, these trees are giving out half as much, which is still a really nice amount. So all this Azure is mucking up my future plans, but as for the present, since it's all favouring one colour, it isn't swaying me towards either of the two, since Azure's got nothing to do with them. If I was playing this for the first time, and by some miraculous stroke I was doing this well, I would be considering very strongly going to Olay, or if not, curving around the left and going up past Una to Yanni. And that's what I really like about the gameplay. Everything else aside, it opens up so many options to you and lets you make your own decisions and mistakes based upon logical choices. Even if I go to Yanni now purely as an investment for the future, since I'll need to head there eventually. I've been doing this sort of stuff all my life, giving myself a cornerstone of sciences and art so that I could do any degree that I wanted, and then choosing a degree which opens up pretty much any possibility. Physically too, I can't stand to be constricted. It's like a form of claustrophobia, except it applies to every part of my body. If someone holds my arm down to my side, I will have to release it. If someone obstructs my nose, I will instantly panic. If I'm in a locked room for a prolonged length of time, I get really edgy. I look for escape routes wherever I go. If I'm walking down a street, I'll look for walls that I can climb over if I need to, things like that. I can't understand people that don't factor any of that into their lives. If there was an emergency of some description that required escaping or mantling somewhere, if you were lost in a field, most people couldn't get past the fence if they couldn't find a stile. I don't know what I'd do if I got some sort of debilitating illness or if I broke something major and irreparably, and yet I still climb around. I suppose I do parkour, but I don't do it so that I can run around shouting parkour whilst jumping off foot-high walls. So if I had to appreciate the Void for any one reason, it would be that one, because it's not like an adventure game where you get a room with 4 doors, all of them open to you, and you're going to end up sifting through them all eventually. In most cases, the order doesn't matter at all. In the Void, everywhere's open to you, and you can go wherever, and you end up with these situations where you have various routes, and none of them are immediately preferable. And as long as you don't have to make a solid decision till the very last moment, I'm completely happy. Because it can take me 2 hours to pick out a birthday card. But that's the state I'm in now, and I've got no problem at all tying this in with my real life. Of course, I've sort of given away some of my weaknesses, if you will, but I think anyone should appreciate that if you tie someone up, they probably won't like it. Mine just goes a little bit further.